Zoe, and this is my monthly roundup. So I have on at the moment my Gloaming Tide shawl, which I showed you last month, but I hadn't blocked it at that point. It's now blocked, it's been worn a few times. I really like this shawl. I think I did a little bit, I had a bit of an issue with the square in the middle when I was knitting. I mean, knitter error, not pattern error. And it's largely blocked out, but because I've got quite a tight edge along here, I do sometimes get a little bit of rippling when I have it out in its triangle, but it's a shawl, I don't often wear it like that, so that's not a problem. So I'm going to show you a few things I've been working on. I am back at work now, term started a few weeks ago, so that obviously limits the amount of time I have to make things. Just try and get into the light a little bit more. It's quite early in the morning at the moment. Well, I say early, it's a Sunday and it's morning. I've just had my breakfast. So we are on 8:30 at the moment, so the light's not really coming into my house as much as I'd like, so I do apologise for the shadow on this side of my face. I could put on my floor lamp, but that just looks weirder because it's yellow and white. So I've got a few things to show you. I'm just saying my making time has been a bit more restricted being back at term, because I have obviously marking and planning and that kind of thing to do. I also have most of my knitting time has been dedicated to a test knit this month. And I'll show you the bag it's in. I can show you the wool, but I'm not going to show you the actual item until the pattern's released, just because I haven't had the go-ahead from the designer to do that. I haven't started casting on my pregnant colleague's baby gift yet, but I have caked up the wool, so that's ready to go, and I'll show you those bits and pieces. But in terms of actual proper works in progress that I can show you, I do have in my lovely project bag, the name of the maker escapes me at the moment, and there isn't a label on the inside on this one, my socks that were just teeny tiny toes last month, so I didn't show them to you. I've not done masses of knitting on these. As I say, I've been focusing on the test knit, but they aren't far off being ready to have their heels turned, so an inch or so more to do. So these are my improvised socks. It's the first time I've knit socks without an actual pattern to work from. I've got another band to do, so I've got some diamonds there, and I've got some moss stitch there. I'm going to do another band, and then we'll be about ready to temper the heel. So it's about 1.5 inches, I think. And this is a paint box sock yarn. I think if I knit these socks again, I'll probably use a lighter yarn to show up the texturing better, but it's coming up quite nicely on the screen. So I'm knitting them 2 at a time, toe up. At some point I will show you how to do that, but I will wait till I am ready to cast on a new pair of socks so that I can show you right the way through the process. So that's that. The yarn's lovely. I mean, it's budget yarn, it's commercial yarn, it's not hand dyed or anything, but for socks you want something hard wearing. So you want to make sure you've got nylon in it, or something similar to nylon that's going to keep it hard, giving you lots of wear. I've heard good things about nettle yarn, but I've not tried that yet, and so using nettle as a substitute for the nylon in the socks, which is an interesting idea. So that's the socks that I promised I'd show you last month. The pregnant colleague project is in here. I do have a lighter grey upstairs that I'm going to be using for the tusks, but this will be the elephant, and she's going to be wearing a little pink dress, because my colleague knows she's having a little girl. And again, it's paint box yarn, but it's a paint box baby yarn, so it's an acrylic. It is really soft, so it'd be beautiful for babies. Because I don't know what process that colleague uses for washing clothes, I don't want to give a wool hand knit for a baby. My thinking on baby knits, unless it's somebody that you know is experienced at looking after 100% wool, it's better to give them acrylics. I mean, yes, it's plastic yarn. No, it's not the best for the environment, but baby clothes need a lot of washing. Acrylic's going to stay in the condition that it's in for a long time. and once the baby grows out of it, the parent can either then save the item as a memento for when the baby's older, or hand it on to another baby that's born. And because I'm making toys, they do tend to get kept for years to come as well, and get a lot of use before they sort of wear out. So I do find for babies, I tend to use more of an acrylic than I would for like myself, or knitting for my mum or my sister or that kind of thing, just for practical reasons with the baby washing. But if it was a knitter that I was knitting for, who used a lot of 100% wool, then I might be looking more to the fingering weight, hand-dyed posher yarns, for want of a better term. But the pattern I'm using for this project, I've already knitted for 2 other colleagues who've already had their little girls. We didn't know they were little girls beforehand, so I did green for the outfit for them. They had matching onesies and teddy bear slippers. One was a cat and one was a dog. So we'll try and set a picture at some point in this video for you. But the pattern I'm using, it's knittables. So this is the dress, this is the outfit that the toy will be wearing. I bought the patterns from Love Knitting. I bought the wool from Love Knitting as well. So a little type of dress, booties and bloomers, and then the elephant itself is there. Now they're quite easy patterns to follow. They're knitted on relatively thin needles. I mean, I'm using 3 1/4, I believe, because when you stuff the toy, you don't want the stuffing coming out through the stitches. So you do need to use smaller needles, or if you're using larger needles, you really need to make sure that your tension is quite tight, whereas on the smaller needles I find that I don't have to worry quite so much about tension. That comes naturally with the needles, so that works quite well for me. And then the test knit is living in this bag. I haven't got it broken into some of the balls of wool, and I am not far off the 4th and final section of the shawl, so yarn consumption has been pretty good. It's a Mina Phillips design, but like I said, she's not given me the go ahead to show the product yet, so I'm not going to show you my work in progress on it, but I will show you the yarn. It's 3 colours and a mohair, and so you hold one colour with a mohair the whole way through. So my colours, this is my little mini swatch to check my colours worked. I've got a grey, a blue and a yellow, and I'm holding it with a sort of mauvey grey mohair, and you just alternate through the colours. That'll make sense once the pattern's released and you see what it looks like. So these are the colours that I'm using. These are my second balls that I haven't yet broken into, despite being kind of 2/3-ish through the knit. So there we go. There's my mohair. So the main colours are in, as you see, it drops Flora, which has alpaca in it. So it's nice and soft. It's 65% wool, 35% alpaca. So really soft and warm. And then the mohair is drops Kid Silk. So again, that's really nice and soft and fluffy. So it's going to be a really warm shawl for the winter. And once the pattern's out, I will show that to you. I've got another week left to get it done before my deadline, so it will continue to take up most of my making time for the next few days, so that I can get that in and the report over. But I'm really enjoying the knit. It's really simple. It does go quite quick. I've just been interrupted a bit with a couple of other projects that I'll talk about in a second, and the fact that I am back at work and marking and planning. But that will be done by the 7th, and once the pattern comes out, I believe for Indie Untangled, so around about when Rhinebeck's on, for the knitters out there, so that's coming up fairly soon. Then I'll be able to show you what I've got. I've also been doing a bit of weaving. You've probably seen my videos on my new Inkle loom, the Ashford Inklet, and I'm actually using it for my Harry Potter mission. Bear with me, so I'm just going to go out of frame whilst I reach over for my ink brand that I've a little bit far out of shot. There we go, I'm back, magic. Okay, so you've probably seen my videos on the Incolloom. The first one I did, the introduction to the Incolloom, was really popular when it first went up, so I'm really pleased with that. Thank you so much for watching that. I am very much a beginner weaver. I've done a couple of bands on a back strap that are somewhere in the loft. I will eventually dig them out and show you guys. But they were using weaving cards, or weaving tablets, whichever you want to call them, which are like wooden squares with holes in, and I've made a pack out of some playing cards as well, but I've not used those yet. So this is my first ever band. This is the good end. This is the not so good end. So yes, that's my first ever Inkle band. That was just the pattern that came in the booklet that comes with the Ashford inklet. It's made out of 100% bamboo, weaving thread, weaving yarn, whatever you want to call it. It's really quite thin, which is good because the pegs on the inklet loom are quite short, so that restricts the amount of width you can get on your band. So my new band is currently on the loom, and this is called Adjacent Flowers. And if you've watched my Warping the Inkle Loom video, you'll see me actually setting up for this. It's an Anne Dixon pattern from her book, The Weaver's Inkle Pattern Directory, which is full of loads of beautiful patterns. It takes you through plain leaf patterns, which is what this is. It looks very decorative and very pretty, but it is actually a plain weave. The way that Inkle bands pattern themselves is actually through the changing of the shed. The order of the warp thread creates the pattern. Then in her book there's also pick-up patterns and how to embellish your bands as you weave them and all sorts of stuff, so it takes you through a whole load of processes. So I'm going to work through that book, or I'm not going to sort of go one after the other all the way through it. I'm going to pick and choose patterns I want to do at the time, but by working with that book I'm going to learn loads of skills to make some beautiful Inkle bands that I can then bring into my knitting and my sewing as trims to finish off various garments and decorate cushions and that kind of thing, as well as being able to use Inkle bands for straps on bags. I've seen on Pinterest a basket made entirely out of Inkle bands, but they were obviously woven on a larger loom because they're kind of that wide, and I won't be able to get that width on my loom until I upgrade to a bigger one. Just bear with me, my cats are just jumping around in the background, so if you do hear a little tinkling bell, it'll be Leo and Kiki chasing themselves around the room. In terms of sewing, I have got some sewing done. You will have seen my Thurlow trousers. I did a video on those once they were completed, and I've worn them a few times. So they're out of a Sherwood's needle cord, which is nice to feel. It's not too heavy, it's quite lightweight, but it is quite an autumnal fabric and colour. I've lined the waistband with some leftover suiting from a project I did years and years and years ago. I think I got it from Minerva. It might have been Abercorn, but I think it was Minerva. We're talking 2012-ish, maybe earlier, that I've had this fabric for, left over from another project. And the pocket linings and the fly lining, I've actually used just some fat quarters that I picked up in the local fabric store. I believe they're a polycotton. They certainly have that sort of feel to it. They feel like cotton but a little bit slicker, which would be the polyester in there. So I think it's a relatively high polyester content polycotton. I could be wrong, it could just be a really finely woven cotton, but they were nice and cheap at the front. They were good length, I shortened the pattern, and the nice wide leg trousers, which is fine. I like wide leg trousers, I think they're quite flattering on me, but I cycle to work and I forgot to think about that when I made them. So I do have to wear bicycle clips, which is really attractive, but I like the look and I like the fit. The Sewholic pattern actually has, I'm going to show you some dodgy stitching on the inside here. There is this wider bit in the seam allowance at the back of your bottom in the pattern. That's to help you with the fit across the back of the across the top of your bum. and they do fit really nicely, and I was actually able to do that on my own. I thought I was going to need some help to do it, but yeah, that was fine, so I can move those out of the way. My other bit of finish sewing, I was going to be doing a shirt from a style arc pattern this month, but that's been pushed aside, partly because of the test knit, but partly because of this sewing project, which is, I think I've got a notification on my screen, can't see the time, there we go. Minerva have asked me to test some fabric and do a blog for them, so I'm not going to show you in any great detail, but here I have my little project. Got a top and 2 skirts, which I'll be taking photos of later on today, and writing up with the blog for Minerva, so keep an eye out there. It's a nautical print poly cotton that they've sent me. I got 3 meters and I've managed to get a top, a skirt, and out of the same suiting that I used to line the waistband of my third trousers, a skirt with contrast pockets. So yeah, so keep an eye on Minerva for that. I will let you know once it's up, whenever I do the nearest video to that blog being published, I will mention it. So yes, keep an eye out there. In terms of acquisitions, the only wool I've bought this month has been the wool for the Mina Phillips test pattern, so I've shown you that. I have got a few projects worth of wool lined up. I've bought it with projects in mind, it's just sat there waiting for me to have the chance to cast on, much like the elephant. In terms of fabric, I bought a few things this month, mostly with projects in mind. Apologies, I've just ran out of memory on the iPad, so I've had to swap onto the iPhone, so my setup changed slightly. So yeah, in terms of fabric acquisition, I bought some viscose challis from Minerva, which is here. So at the front we can see it in their light grey colour, which is pretty accurate. It's like a kind of steely, smoky grey. And this they call mocha. To me this is taupe, but Minerva call it mocha. Both fabrics are nice and soft, they're the same base fabric. They're nice and drapey, so they're going to be either a shirt or a dress. I've got a few patterns in mind for my Seamworks capsule wardrobe plan. Dodgy cats in the background. So they'll be good, nice lightweight fabrics, nice and practical. I've got 3 meters of each of those because I had a couple of ideas of what I could use them for rather than just one specific. Then I thought I'd try Girl Charlie, and I've got 2 meters of 3 fabrics. I'm thinking t-shirts, I'm thinking vests, so some nice basics really. I first of all have a nice jersey. This is a cotton jersey blend, and it is what they call taupe, I call brown, maybe coffee, with black polka dots. It's actually coming out fairly accurate on the camera. So this is a cotton jersey. I'm thinking it's probably a t-shirt for this one. Maybe a cardigan, but probably a t-shirt. And that's 2 meters of that, and I've got 2 meters each in 2 colours of cotton ribbing. They're calling it wide, but I guess that's the width of the fabric more than the width of the ribs. So we've got this nice brown, and then we have this is a splash of colour for my autumn wardrobe, chartreuse, and I'm thinking vests for these. I wear vests a lot. I wear them under cropped t-shirts, cropped shirts, on their own with jeans. I do like a good fitting vest. So I do have a pattern in mind for that. I think it's the Largo tank, which is a free pattern on Itch to Stitch. So I'm probably going to give that a try, or I will create a pattern from a vest that I have already that I like the fit of and is in a very similar fabric to those and my last bit of fabric acquisition is from Sherwood's. I shopped the sale, and I have picked up for probably the Lander pants, possibly a slimmer leg because of the cycling issue. Possibly a different trouser pattern, but probably the Lander pants. Some suiting, so I'm hoping that the check shows up. There's a nice subtle check on there. Yeah, that's showing up quite nicely. So nice neutral grey, so that's going to go with everything. When I change my colour scheme, at the moment I'm going browns and greys and blues with a bit of chartreuse and yellow, but that's going to work for quite a long time to go with lots of different colours, so that's great. Gets a nice lightweight, but will be fine for the autumn and into the winter because I can always put thicker layers with it. And I am planning the Auberpine, I think it's Auberpine, from Deer and Doe, and this is a very girly fabric for me, but I think it's going to work wonderfully for that dress. It's neutral colours. So it's a ditzy floral, but like a border print, it's got this gorgeous embroidery on it. So that'll be the hemline of the skirt. I've got 3 meters, so I'm hoping to be able to get the Auberpine out of that fabric, which, as I said, be very girly, but it'll fit that prairie dress type trend that's coming back in at the moment without being prairie dress. I'm 5'4". I find long full length dresses a little bit tricky to wear sometimes, depending on the cut, but also with the cycling, the full length skirt is just not going to work for me. So I'm going with a shorter length, and yeah, it's a nice tailored looking, without being too fitted sort of dress. Not sure that makes total sense, but there's lovely pleats across the front and over the shoulder, over onto the sleeves in some views of it. It's kind of around about the knee length, and it's empire line, which I find very flattering on my body type. So I'll get that prairie feel without it being a prairie dress. My last fabric, very excited about this one. This is probably going to be the cruise ship Kim dress from Stylark, which I already have the pattern for. It was in the sale on Sherwood because apparently it is faulty and there is a change in colour on it, and for the life of me I cannot find the fault. So I am really pleased with this. This gorgeous fabric that I'm about to bring into shot is the Lady McElroy Jessamy Elm, and it fits my colour scheme. This is the yellow, that mustardy yellow that I want to bring in. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's really drapey. It's textured, it's not smooth, and I'm so excited to use this. I'll have to double check what base fabric it is. It feels like a crepe, but not a crepe. It's got that sort of bit slubby texture to it, but it feels more cottony than most crepes feel. I'm not a massive fan of most crepes. So yeah, this is lovely. Lots of colour on it. It's not too much of a stretch. It's a woven, and it's going to have that lovely drape, which the cruise ship Kim is going to need, because it's a simple dress. It's a shift dress, so I really want to have a nice fabric to show off the simple lines of that. So that's all my fabric. That's all my makes this month. I'm hoping to get a bit more done in October, but I am going away for a few days at half term, and working does make it a little bit tricky. You'll probably find during term time that my productivity goes down a little bit, simply because I have so much else to do being a teacher. Someone was asking me if I was going to do Vlogtober the other day. Probably not. I obviously can't film my day particularly well being a teacher. Safeguarding issues, I just can't film at work. And aside from that, you would just be seeing me having my breakfast and then coming home from work and either knitting or weaving or planning. I sew on weekends. Sometimes I cut out fabric during the week, but my sewing time is the weekends during term time. My evenings are knitting and weaving, it's not that exciting. Quite often I'm in bed early, particularly at the moment. So yeah, so I probably won't be doing Vlogtober this year. If there does become a year when I'm not teaching for whatever reason, which is not really in the foreseeable future because work, then maybe, but right now, no. We will see if I'm going to do Vlogmas. That might be a little bit more interesting, but again, I'm away for Christmas, so it would be filming at somebody else's home, which is always a little awkward, but we'll see. Anyway, I shall sign off there. I'm planning on getting my Craftine trousers sewn up. They are cut out, ready to go, but my sewing machine decided to play up yesterday and start skipping stitches and basically telling me that it needs a little bit of maintenance. So I need to do that first before I can sew those up, or I would have had them to show you today because I would have sewn them yesterday. I'll try and get my Maud shirt done out of that viscose chalet. I might try and get the dress done as well. I've got a couple of other patterns I need to pick up. I need to pick up Lander pants, I need to pick up Opine, and there's a couple from Orjus that I want to pick up as well, and Anza from It's Just Itch. The cat's found a mouse. Not a real mouse, it's Tiger Mouse. So, well done, Kiki. So I've got a few sewing bits planned. I should have that shawl to be able to show you next month. I'll be able to show you at least a picture of the elephant toy because I will probably have gifted that by the time I do my next monthly roundup because she goes on maternity leave at half term. So I've got a few things planned and we'll see how far I get. Don't forget to like and subscribe below, and hop on to usou.com for my written blogs, and keep an eye on Minerva Craft for the post I'm doing for them, which is really exciting. It's my first time doing a Minerva post, and I'm off to take some photos of that project so I can get that over to them, and I'll see you soon. Bye.